Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
We are creating conscious community by sharing mindful manifesting skills and transcendental music.
We are all in this together.
Where you shine your attention. You increase that vibration.
What's your frequency?
Where you shine your attention. You increase that vibration.
What's your frequency?
Where you shine your attention. You increase that vibration.
Choose compassion.
Where you shine your attention. You increase that vibration.
See you on the frequency.
Where you shine your attention. You increase that vibration.
What's your frequency?
Where you shine your attention. You increase that vibration. Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jaylin.
And he is Monte.
And here we are.
The eternal present. I love that line. Yeah. So this is our October edition of 2023. We have entered into the autumn.
Yeah. You know, a little bit about that song you just heard. The idea of, well, first of all, that song is the time signature is in a 10, and so it's an unusual rhythm, and then the messaging is about where we shine our attention. That's where we increase the vibration, or that's how we increase the energy of whatever we're shining our attention on. Like our attention is like a beam of light. It comes from our foreheads, and wherever I shine that beam of light, I'm sending like this vital energy towards and immersing something in my vital energy. And it's interesting in this culture because a lot of us, I don't know, in some way we picked a card and it's about fear, right?
Yeah, I want to explain that a tiny bit.
Go for it.
So we have been doing this show for 8 years now, and the podcast archives go back about to the beginning of COVID, so 2020. We have a few of our original shows on there if you scroll through to the bottom. But we've been doing this for a while, and I wanted to explore stretching our abilities to cover as many topics as possible. So I have these medicine cards, these animal spirit cards that I've had since I was 21, I think. And I said, how about we work with a show with a card? And so I had we did that, and Monty pulled a card, and
it was the rabbit card, which is about fear.
Fear of the future.
Yeah, Yeah, it's interesting if you really dissect the idea of fear, because there is fear of the future, which is probably the primary cause of fear, but there's also fear of the present if something's going sideways, if something's not going right. And that kind of fear, it can be helpful. Like it's important. It's like this huge spike in adrenaline, and hopefully it helps us react quicker to whatever's happening in the moment.
What I found, though, is being someone healing from PTSD, that fear in the present is also just an overlay of the past. And I guess that would be the future, because or fear of the future, because it's like, what's around that corner? And another, way to look at that is hypervigilance, and just kind of looking around, who's safe, who's not safe. And it's in the present, but it's, maybe that is the fear of the future. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I believe in some ways we've all been trained to fear the future. Our culture kind of trains us.
Well, I think it's beyond culture. I think it's just a human.
It is a human thing, but our culture has amplified that.
Yeah.
And it's used to exploit us. It's like, I don't know. Oh, I need this insurance and that insurance because I'm fearful. I need to cover all my bases and blah, blah, blah. And we do all that. And then we're still fearful. If we're in the habit of fearing the future, which all of us kind of are to some degree, it's a continuum again. And
yeah, one thing that comes to mind about what you just said is that when we are in that habit of fear, then when there's an actual reason, like you were talking about, like fear in the present can be helpful, because then the adrenaline
can
spikes.
Be. Yeah.
But if you've been afraid and that's the habit, then something comes along and it's almost like the whole system can just shut down because you've been in fight flight for so long, and then there's a reason to be in fight flight, and the body just like, can't handle it.
Right. So if we're there too much of the time, it kind of disables our ability to use it in the moment.
Right. That's been my experience.
And that's interesting. And that's again, it kind of gets back to moderation. Okay, fear is helpful in moderation.
Right.
But if I spend my whole day sitting here, let's say, just being fearful about stuff, which can happen. I mean, it has happened to me. That it's disabling to my mind. And
would you say fear is anxiety?
Fear creates anxiety, for sure. Absolutely. And yes, it's just something that if it's not kept in check, if it's not kept in moderation, it can really have a detrimental psychological effect on us. Like you said, because it creates anxiety that just like hovers over our heads all day. Which is another big problem in our culture. There is this like low level of anxiety that just kind of hovers over the culture. But there are potentially reasons for that as well.
Sure.
Beyond just our training. There could be karmic reasons, etc.
I feel, though, rather than the metaphor of hovering over the head, it feels like a shivering through the body, because that's what anxiety feels like to me. It feels like this, which is very interesting because I can feel chi. Chi feels buzzy, it feels,
okay.
And I don't mean to say that if you're feeling buzzy or shivery, these are just my sensations. In my hands, my hands will get really warm. My feet will feel buzzy when I feel chi. But the shivering feels more like right on the spine, right around my kidneys. There's this anxiety, like that shivering through the muscles. And the muscles can actually get gritty. Being a massage therapist, I can tell you that fear can turn into grit in the muscle.
Yeah. So how do we deal with this fear thing that really it's in our best interest to keep it at a moderate level. And that's one thing I've been working on personally is, talking about, attention, working with attention. And where we shine our light of attention, that's where we send our manifesting abilities. That's where we send our consciousness, which is actually probably a string of energy, or strings of energy that flow out of us into whatever we're focusing on. I mean, and that's fairly likely the physical reality of attention, right? And if my attention is primarily focused on fear, like some terrible events in the future, let's say, if my mind is like focused on that, and I'm sort of in a way energizing that
that
possibility,
attention. Right?
Which
scares me more.
Yeah, right. Which scares me more too, but it does help motivate me to realize I also primarily want to focus on manifesting positive things in the future for myself, my family, my tribe, my culture, and all of humanity. I want to manifest positive things, period. And the way I believe I'm able to do that is by at least, 2/3 of the time focusing on positive things that I want to create or I want to be a part of. If I'm looking at the future of humanity, for example, instead of focusing on the fear of, what we're doing to our habitat, etc., I want to focus on solutions. And you had mentioned the other day, your brother's talking about mini houses that are 3D printed and made out of hemp. For example, it's like, oh yeah, that'll probably happen. Let's focus. I want to focus my attention on that. I want to focus my attention on humanity creating 100% of its electricity through the sun and wind, which is that's reasonable. It's not some like wild fantasy. I mean, we have the technology to do it, and technology just keeps improving, and we just need to set our attention to it instead of, for example, it seems in our culture, we spend a lot of time focused on war. That's where a lot of our attention goes into these wars. And, if we could just kill all those people, we'd be better off. And so that's where a lot of our resources flow into these wars.
Yeah.
Because that's where our attention goes. And the war attention is like fear-based, right? It's like, oh, we need to get rid of them. Oh, we need to get rid of them. Oh, we need to get... But if we could replace that attention with, let's create all of our electricity through solar and wind, bam, humanity, if collectively, if we could focus on that, we would get there much quicker than, So essentially, we are all vastly powerful manifestors, and collectively, we're incredibly powerful at manifesting. And we need to ask ourselves, what do we want to manifest? Yeah. And if my mind is fear-based, what does that mean?
One of the things that I just got to throw out, Quasi Joe here and on YouTube is a great teacher on manifesting. Young fella, bookworm, really dove in and worked on it, made it happen, and now is sharing his success. And one thing that he talks about that is throughout traditions is you choose your goal, and everybody has the fear of failure of that goal.
Yeah.
And most manifesting techniques say, oh, no, don't go to the fear. Don't go, just kind of ignore it. And what he says is go into it. So you sit there and you imagine failing that goal.
Yeah.
Until you feel at peace with it.
Yeah.
And then you, again, think about, do you want to go for that goal? And then you imagine succeeding in that goal. And you go for it. and you think about, well, what process do I need to do
Yeah.
to make that goal happen? And you go for it
Mm-hmm.
because you've already imagined the failing.
Yeah, you've explored it.
Yeah.
You've explored it enough. You understand it. You can let it go. And just,
Right.
That's cool. That's Stoic, by the way.
Okay.
The Stoics kind of talk about waking up and imagine all the terrible things that could happen. And then it's like, oh, they're not happening. So therefore,
Right.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, what do I want to create? Boom.
Right. I think the hard part, though, is we go into that fear of failure and we see it happening and we have this emotional reaction and we're tied up in it. Oh, no, I'm surely going to fail. I'm surely going to fail.
Yeah.
And we don't get to the peace of it. We don't,
Right.
and I mean PEACE, you know, we don't get to the peace of it and the calm of, yeah, it's a possibility that I could fail, but I really want to try anyway.
Well, that's it. We need to just develop that skill. Because it's just like anything. We don't want to repress things in our mind. Psychologically, we want to face things, deal with them, but then we don't want to cling to them either. It's the same thing. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that's a distinct possibility. That's a distinct possibility. That's a possibility too. Okay, now I want to see what I want to manifest. I can let go of that stuff.
Right.
I've explored it.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah. And I think what he's getting at is if you repress things, they just tend to keep bubbling up into
They
your
become
consciousness.
the skeleton in the closet, whereas this is more like putting your flashlight on it and being like, oh, it's actually a blanket. You know?
Yeah. Well, and one technique that helps me as well is just having the overriding like philosophy of everything's going to be okay. I mean, because that's like the foundation that I try and view my everything from, you know, just from the perspective of, okay, oh, we're all spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Okay. I believe that, you know, I don't know if it's true or not. I think it is, you know, obviously. On the truth continuum, that's a 9.9 for me on a scale 1 to 10. Yeah, we're all spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. Okay, that's cool. So what does that mean? Oh, that means our souls or our spirits outlive these bodies. Oh, okay. So that means these souls or spirits perhaps even outlive the earth. You know, because the earth in like 200 billion years or whatever, the sun's going to grow big and eat the earth. It's going to just boil the earth and then the sun's going to, whatever it does, and shrink down. And, you know, the earth's not going to be here forever. So our souls perhaps outlive the earth as well. It's like, okay, well, that's cool. Our souls must go somewhere else then, you know, and maybe we'll just all be hanging out in the spirit world together, or maybe there'll be another planet somewhere else that, you know, who knows? But just having that as a foundational philosophy for me puts everything into perspective. And then when I find my mind just constricting into this little like laser focus on some problem, I mean, that's important. I can like look at it and deal with it. But if I just stay focused on it, it's kind of ridiculous.
It uses a lot of energy.
It uses energy. It's counterproductive to my happiness and my ability to manifest a better world for myself, for my family, for my tribe, for my culture and all of humanity, which ultimately that's what we're here to do, I think, is to just help each other grow. And getting over the fear thing is a big deal. I mean, as far as our culture goes, right? Our culture really promotes fear.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just rewind over the last like 3 years or 5 years and just imagine, you know, what, you know, the news and basically it's saying be fearful. Be fearful, be fearful. You're doomed. Be fearful, be fearful.
Follow
be fearful.
Our way.
You're doomed.
You might still be doomed.
Be fearful, be fearful, be fearful. You're doomed. Be fearful. You know, and like we were talking, a lot of young people, a lot of 20-year-olds are like, oh, we're doomed.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe not.
Right.
You know, I mean, as far as science goes, too, science keeps evolving.
Right.
It's like for those people who believe like the science of today is science, period. That's not true. Science is an evolving art.
We always learn more and readjust.
Yeah. And perhaps science someday will even prove that we'll be able to see the soul within the body.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting thought?
Yeah.
You know, and perhaps science will prove God. Perhaps science will, you know, we don't know. We don't know where it's going essentially, but those are all possibilities. And,
Yeah.
but so life really is a great adventure, actually, if we allow it.
Yeah. One thing that I want to put a shout out there to Carolyn Casey, who visited last weekend.
Yeah.
And she was epic. We got to support her with music, and I was a part of a vision circle with her, and we were talking about people's fear on manifesting, and she said, let go of the how. Get clear on the what, let go of the how. And trust the universe. Trust the universe will create the how.
Yeah.
And you focus on the what.
Yeah.
And that's similar too to just acknowledging our minuscule reality of what we know. We can't know the how.
Yeah.
We can get clear on the what. We're magnificent beings of energy that we don't even understand.
Yeah.
And when we focus on what it is that we want to see in the world, if we just allow the next process to become clear and the next process and follow that to the end and then follow that to the end, and we will likely get to that picture that we had in the beginning of that manifestation dream. And when we just let the how go, that's kind of like letting the fear go. You know, like, how will I do that? I don't know. I'm sure I could get it wrong. And what if I get it wrong? And then, but if there's no getting it wrong, and there's actually no failing, because even if you quote unquote fail something, there's something that comes after it. There's some kind of rebirth, reconfiguring, re-strategizing. You know, you fell down, you get back up, think about it, and start walking again. You know?
Yeah, if you can. I mean, sometimes there's the fall that you're just down for the count.
Yeah.
But then there's like the spirit world.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps after that. So
right. And I was thinking about fear and my fears that hold me back from shining, and basically the fear of rejection. And then I was realizing that, well, we all die at some point. So maybe if I just stop being afraid of shining and just be happy, or happy is not the right word, but be bright and be myself, be my authentic self, and let it shine. No matter what happens, I'm not going to escape death anyway, you know? And of course, you know, what comes to mind is how Gandhi went, but he knew it was coming and he was at peace with it, you know? So why should I be afraid, you know?
Yeah. And what's it really matter?
Right.
I mean, in the big picture, like I love going, like opening my mind to the big picture, and then things don't really matter that much.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, okay.
This is my adventure now.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to, if we can keep our mind relaxed and clear and not full of anxiety and fear, then we're going to accomplish more. You know, and even if my life ends today, I've still accomplished things. I mean, and it doesn't really matter a whole lot.
I mean, and yet you love life and enjoy
Yeah.
it. And that's one of the things that Carolyn really spoke to me in a lyrical way. This woman knows her words, and I can esteem to it possibly, but she was just so lyrical, and she said words are so important. Every time you speak is like a spell casting, you know?
Totally. Words are, I had a client tell me that recently. Words are spells. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why we need to be choosy with our words.
Yeah.
And we got to be careful if our mind is caught up in fear and anger.
Right.
Because we can definitely send out some really unproductive spells at that point.
Right.
If we don't have some kind of control over what's coming out of us.
And that's where I get afraid, right? Because I've said some stupid things, you know?
Yeah, well, we all have.
And I feel like I want to believe, and maybe it doesn't even matter, right? But I want to believe that the divine energy, the creator source energy, knows when we're just being silly. You know, like, oh, you silly child, you know?
Yeah.
And you know you don't want that. I'm just going to let you spin in your own circle. I'm not giving that energy.
Yeah, or
we do create a lot of hell for ourselves too.
We can absolutely get create if we throw out enough negative energy, it does come, I believe, gets reflected back at me. If I'm throwing out negative energy, it's going to get reflected back, and then I just have to like deal with it and like learn from it. Otherwise, I'm going to do it again and again and again and again and again, and because that's, as human beings, we just make mistakes,
right?
And for me getting caught up in fear and anger and just shouting it out to the world, perhaps that is a mistake.
I like the analogy of the video game, and I've heard this like 4 times, 4 different people this last week, you know, the idea of the video game, and it's you just do it, you know, you just play the video game. That's and true. You might have to start that level over.
Yes.
And you might have to start that level over and over and over. Yes. But you also might level up and go to the next level, and then there's going to be a whole new set of challenges.
Well, that's it. The thing is, if we don't try, we'll stay stuck on the same level.
Yeah.
Because in our subconscious mind, we have these programs that run and run and run and run.
Right.
And if we don't actively try and help those programs evolve, they just stay the same. I mean, how many people just have the same thoughts, same beliefs, blah, 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 for 50 years, then die? You know, I mean, the majority of people perhaps are maybe right at the end of their life, they're like, oh, I realize I shouldn't have taken things so seriously, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, that one's a big one. And that's a big part of the rabbit medicine, is taking things too seriously and therefore becoming afraid. And that is a big thing for me, is just taking things way too seriously. Another thing that was spoken this weekend, and I've heard it before, but keep your heart as light as a feather. If your heart is not as light as a feather, then you need to rethink it. And that is very hard for me as a very serious person, healing and wanting to do it right. You know, I don't want to fall again. I'm tired of falling, you know. Oh, well, falling is not that bad, right?
Yeah, that's right. But you do have a lighthearted side too.
I have a lighthearted side, and I'm trying to get it back. Yeah, I go through phases, right? We all do.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, I've got it. I've got the scales out, got the feather there, and I'm like, oh, okay, more joy. Lighten that up, lighten it up.
Yeah, right.
But the other piece I wanted to say about the video game and what you were saying about the beliefs, and I don't want people to think, well, it's the video game. I'm stuck in the video game. You know how, and I know so little about video games. I really don't like them at all. And I think they're an addiction for a lot of people. But I know from working with people who play video games that most games you can go back to the beginning and readjust your character and go back into the game. So that's kind of what I hear from you, Monty, is that you can change your beliefs, you can change your thought processes, you can reprogram your mind.
Yes.
These things are a lot harder than going back to the beginning and picking a different outfit, but and different superpowers. They take effort, they take practice, but they're absolutely doable.
It is. That's we're designed to be able to do that. That's why we're human beings, essentially. That's why we have these complex, powerful minds. And that's one problem we have, just culturally and just in humanity. We don't respect, we don't honor our own minds.
Right.
We don't understand how powerful our minds are. We tend to self-identify with our thoughts, which keeps us stuck. Oh, that's just me. And then people are like, just be you. And you're like, okay, I'm angry. Yeah, this is me. It's like, no, it's not. It's an old pattern of thinking.
Right.
That if you really get some space from it, you can look at it and just see if that really benefits you. Does it benefit you? Does it benefit your family? Does it benefit your tribe? If so, stay with it, but really take a look at it. And if it doesn't benefit you, how can you shift that? How can you replace that anger and hatred with compassion? And that's one thing I've figured out is I think the opposite of hatred is compassion, right? And if our minds are stuck in anger, and a lot of the anger is based on grievances, and I have so many grievances. I have grievances against the government. I have grievances against this group of people and that group of people and that, and boom, boom, boom. It's like, so then I'm victim stancing. I'm positioning myself as this victim. And because I'm seeing myself as this great, honorable victim, I have a lot of anger, right? But then, does that really benefit me? Does it benefit me, or can I let go of some of these grievances and know that the universe just brings all these situations to us in a perfect way, and it gives us the opportunity to grow and evolve? I mean, and if we don't take a look at our programming, if I look at my programming and notice all the grievances and notice all the anger and notice what that does for me, what it does for my attention, do I want to shine my light of attention on all these negative things? I would suggest no, not for me. I do believe in the Lotus Sutra, which I think is Buddha's highest teaching, in which he says, if you want to create change in the world, you focus on the positive and you create change that way. So instead of fighting the negative,
right,
for example,
drains our energy.
Yeah.
And brings us back into that too. Like when we fight the negative, we're actually participating in it. Yeah,
we're part of this negative vibration, and we're part of the hatred that this is holding back humanity. Because let's face it, it's hatred that keeps us fighting amongst ourselves.
Totally.
It keeps us fighting against ourselves too. That's another thing people don't fully understand, that if I'm full of hatred for other people, guess what? When I make a mistake, that hatred, I direct it right back at myself, because my mind's in the habit of hating at that point. But if I can be in the habit of compassion, I have compassion for these people. I mean, let's look at a war scenario. Let's have compassion for the Ukrainians. Let's have compassion for the Russians. Let's have compassion for everybody involved, because it's this terrible thing that's happening.
Super terrible.
And it's hatred is not going to be the answer. It's not going to solve that problem.
It's not going to make it any better.
No. And it's hatred just throws fuel on the fire. And we live in this culture that really promotes hatred.
Yeah.
So I could have all this hatred in my mind and go talk to my friends and they'll support me in it. Like, oh yeah, you got lots of reasons and good job and be yourself. That's be you. Go on.
What really bugs me is, in the 60s, there was some war that was very painful and just, it was so sad. And yet there was a huge revolt against it.
Yes.
And there's huge demonstrations and the peace and love, and the hippies, they stood up and they gathered and they said, no more war. And where'd they go? What happened? Now, I'm not going to tell you what I think happened, because I want to leave it be a mystery and encourage all of you out there. Where is that peace and love side of yourself? Where is that message of compassion deep within you? How do we gather together and present to our world that we want peace? How do we step above what the media wants us to stay divided on and say, you know what? I want peace.
Yeah. Well, it does start in our own minds. Just finding peace with ourselves.
And dissolving the agenda that's been placed there by the media on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, they want us to not want peace.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, they want to, essentially, people are exploited by like having agitated minds. So we're not thinking clearly, you know, and then nothing changes. And there's a certain group of people who don't want things to change. They don't want things to evolve because they like it the way it is. And but we need to have compassion for those people too. Because they're just doing what they know, what they think is right. And we're doing what we know and what we think is right. And we all have that spark of the divine within us. That's the good news. And the bad news is we're all kind of confused.
Yeah. And another thing that just went through my mind as you're talking is, well, what the 60s had that we don't have is peace from technology. You know, like there is no phones, there is no social media to, you know, get as many likes and follows as possible. There was, you know, the news was on at 5 and 10 and whatever it was on, you know, it couldn't inundate you constantly.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Now we're working against being constantly provoked by media and influencers and you know, and how do we create space in our vibration to just be and find our own opinion?
Well, that's it. We need to become empowered over this information overload and take breaks from social media, from the mass media. And I remember as a kid, and I grew up, you know, I was born in the 60s, but I remember like the TV would turn off at night at like midnight or something and be like, there'd be this, you know, end of the programming day. And then it'd be like, beep, and there'd be like a little dot in the center of the screen. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, totally.
You know, that's it.
The end. Go to bedtime.
And right. Or just not TV time.
Right.
Even if I'm up, you know, but now it's like, I mean, and we're talking about like 20-year-olds feeling doomed. And I mean, a lot of it is they just spend way too much time on their phones.
Yeah.
We've become addicted to our phones, and we need to look at our phones like a substance, like it really is a drug. But something Carolyn Casey said to me this weekend, which I found to be extremely profound. She said, take the word addiction and replace it with being dedicated to. So instead of I'm addicted to my phone, it's like, no, I'm dedicated to my phone. It's like, oh, so all I need to do is become less dedicated to my phone. And then I'm going to feel better. So that's what I'm suggesting to everybody is we just become less dedicated to the mass media, less dedicated to social media. You know, let's become less dedicated to whatever things that are hurting us, that are out of balance in our lives. If we're drinking too much, let's become less dedicated to alcohol. If we're smoking too much, let's be less dedicated to whatever we're smoking. You know, if we're just the whole thing, let's become more empowered.
Yeah, more dedicated to the peace of
That's
the mind,
it. That's it.
more dedicated to
Yeah.
the presence of the leaves on the tree and
Yes. And the birds chirping.
the squirrels running
I'm
around.
very dedicated to listening to the birds.
Yeah.
This summer has been really amazing that way. And let's become dedicated to honoring our own minds.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of treating our minds like they don't exist.
Like a garbage can.
Yeah, just for
Fill it up. Keep
data as possible. Yeah, right.
It's getting stinky. Oh, well, let's throw that one away and get a new bag.
Yeah, And then we wonder why we don't feel good.
Yeah.
We wonder why we have too much fear. Back to that fear thing.
Yeah.
It's because anytime if we're engaging in information overload, the mind's going to get agitated because guess what? Our minds are not designed to be computers.
Yeah.
But we treat them like that.
Right.
Because we don't understand. We don't take the mind into account.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then we're disrespecting, we're dishonoring the most powerful part of ourselves besides our soul.
Right.
Right. And we're dishonoring that. And of course, things are going to go sideways at that point. Mm-hmm. But that's part of human evolution. And that's something we can all be a part of. It's just working on it personally.
Well, we're a part of it even if we aren't consciously aware, because evolution does happen. But the thing about that we're learning about our brains is that we can consciously evolve them. And it is true.
Yeah. Well,
even if that thought is annoying, it is true that we can consciously evolve our brain.
Yeah, well, we can change the physical structure of our brain.
We can change the synapses. We can
rewire. We can rewire our brains literally.
Yeah.
Literally, we can grow the frontal lobe of our brain and shrink the reptilian brain in the back.
We have the knowledge. We have the intelligence. We have the ability to choose to evolve our brain.
And science, speaking of science, has done studies on people who have practiced mindfulness for 7 weeks. The physical structure of their brains have changed. Mm-hmm. And that can be a continuing process through our lives. If we're willing to work, to train, if we can be dedicated to our minds.
And with that, we're going to pause for a song and come back and share more ways that you can rewire and evolve your brain and reduce fear. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birdies sat by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of a melody pure and true. Yeah, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birdies sat by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of a melody pure and true. Yeah, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright.
Yeah. Every little thing is going to be all right.
Yeah.
Mm.
It will all get worked out. Just throw out the how.
Yeah, let's just work collectively to manifest a better world.
So we're going to just go through some skills here, rapid fire skills
Okay.
on how to reduce fear and work towards rewiring
Can
the
I
brain.
start?
Absolutely.
Repeat the phrase thank you in your mind repeatedly throughout the day without attaching that phrase to any particular thing. Just say it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Start the morning that way. And at that point, you're taking charge of your internal dialogue. So you're beginning to reprogram your subconscious mind and you're growing your plot of gratitude. And it's a potent emotional regulation skill, and it's a great way to take charge of your consciousness. And it's fun, and it feels good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's a skill I use every day, and it's 100% cognitive. You just say it in your mind whenever I start the day with it.
And my tip would be to check in with your breath. Usually when we're feeling fear, we are breathing very shallowly, inhaling into the kidneys that are at the bottom back of the ribs. Those kidneys are under the bottom ribs in the back by the spine. Breathe in there. And as you exhale, try to relax. Relax your mind, relax your shoulders, relax your eyebrows. And just working with that breath, bringing in the breath as deeply and gently as possible. It's not about expanding like a balloon that's about to pop. It's about breathing in gently and lovingly and compassionately into those kidneys and giving them a little bit of massage and love.
Okay. I would say also getting focused on that long, relaxed exhale. They've done studies in the long, relaxed exhale kind of calms down the vagus nerve. And as you're focused on exhaling slowly, you're bringing your attention to your body and away from the chattering mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons, like focus on proper breathing. It helps calm the mind down.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're getting more oxygen in your brain and your heart slows down.
And next, I would suggest Om. I have found that Om is very powerful as a chant. You can, in your mind, feel the Om as you inhale, and in your mind, feel the Om as you exhale. This just takes that chattering mind and zips it. It gives you a vibration to focus on. It gives you a sound to focus on. And it's very simple. Om.
The sound of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. And as you're doing your oming, as you're walking down the street, also think about leading with your heart. Just bring your heart forward just a little bit. That brings your head up. So work with that postural awareness.
Mm-hmm.
In Zen, they talk about how if, like a baby, when a baby is in a state of awareness, their head is up, looking around. And I've noticed for myself, as I'm chanting, if my posture if my head starts coming forward, and I get more tired. But as I raise my head up, I think it allows the prana more into my brain. And they've done studies on good posture, and good posture translates into more confidence and just feeling better.
And my tip would be to think of confidence as defined by trust in the universe to give you only what you can handle, and a feeling of knowing inside that you can indeed handle it.
Okay. And perhaps viewing life as just a great adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And try your best. Gamify it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the way I operate a lot of the times. I'm just going to try my best. I'm going to do things and try and improve the functioning of my mind, improve the functioning of my breathing. Being choosy with my mental diet. There you go. That's a good skill in this world, is honor your mind, be choosy with your mental diet. Know that your mental diet is actually really important. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of focus on the physical diet in this culture, but mental diet is perhaps the most important aspect of diet that we can work with. Push back on excessive use, push back on excessive screen time. Take breaks, go on a Facebook fast, go on a mass media fast, etc., and have fun with it. Notice how you feel after staying away from the media, after staying away from social media as well.
Shift your dedication. Yeah, so next I want to offer last weekend's undulation metaphor.
Sounds like fun.
So undulation, if you don't know what it is, if you think about those wooden snake toys, and they have these vertebrae that are fused together just enough so that it doesn't fall apart and you can move it. That's an undulation, and you can undulate your spine even so subtly by, as you inhale, feeling the breath move up from the tailbone all the way up the spine, through the neck, to the top of the brain. And as you exhale, you're kind of undulating back to a more neutral stance. And as you inhale, you're undulating up from the bottom. Feel that spine just move just a little bit, lengthening. And then as you exhale, coming back to neutral. Undulating, dancing our way through.
Mm-hmm. Working with infinity. if you find you have some problems that are really weighing on you, which, I mean, we all go through this, but try to, if you're laying in bed, try to envision yourself on the earth, then try and envision yourself, 800 meters in the air, and then just look up towards the sky and try and envision yourself just moving through infinity. And just ponder what infinity is. It is beyond finite understanding, certainly, but it plays a vital role in what is reality. So just ponder that. It can be a very profound and perplexing, and kind of can lead to more of a lighthearted perspective on this finite reality that we're dealing with here.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of rapid fire tools there. I hope that you enjoyed it and maybe played along with us there. Feel into those. Take them as a dedication. Take something as a dedication to balance out another thing that you wish to dedicate less to. So I want to just share a little bit about what's going on in the neighborhood. We have our Tai Chi Qigong classes on Saturdays at the Commons, and satsang second Sunday of the month, also at the Commons at 11 a.m.
Tai Chi's at noon.
Tai Chi's at noon.
Qigong.
This month I will not be at satsang. I will have just had surgery, so I love all the prayers. Send me some healing thoughts if you do that. I would definitely appreciate that. And nothing too major and intense, but going under the knife is never fun. And we have the Harvest Parade. Roko Harvest Parade is going to be on October 14th. Starts at 3 o'clock on Main Street. And you can look at, you can get a hold of the organizers if you want to be in the parade, or if you want to just watch the parade. There's lots of information out there. And there will be a Harvest Parade music following afterwards when the parade makes it to the park, it's about a 30-minute parade. So the music starts around 3:30 at Eckert Park and goes till dark. And the finale performance is Renza Fire. And they're fantastic. Very, I just love their performance last time I saw it. So I'm super excited to see them again. There is Monte John and Friends will start off the music, followed by the South Street Band. And then Rhinosaur will play before.
Rhinoceros.
I think it's just Rhinosaur is what they told me.
Okay.
It will be playing last, and then Renza will bring us into the dark. So light our way into the darkness with their amazing performance. So hope to see you there. And for our friends listening from far away and can't come, please check out our YouTube channel for fun, inspirational videos. And what else we got going on?
Heart Mind Center.
Yep. Insight Timer, 8:30.
Heart Mind Center.
Yep.
Insight Timer and YouTube.
Yep. Insight Timer. Advanced Mind Training, 8:30 a.m. on Monday, Central Time. And Wednesday is Astro Chats and Meditation with me. So stay in touch. I hope you enjoyed the show. Many blessings and much love.